Welcome back, guys. Preview podcast, like every single week. A very special preview podcast this week. Big Anthony, Big Ant, my co-worker, number one West Coast fan I know, and the guy I've got the bet with, the Oscar Allen Nikolaki bet, is coming on. I'm going to drop the interview in next after this little segment, but it is a great interview, so definitely make sure you listen all through this one here. A little bit longer preview podcast this week just because Big Ant was on, but it's a fun time. A bit of banter between us, some jokes between workmates, some stuff that isn't safe for television, but it's all in good fun, so don't kill us. But yeah, listen to that one next. But in tradition, I'm going to live react right now to the team that has been dropped. I'm sure it's the extended squad, but I haven't seen it yet. Firstly, I'm going to tell you who I think should be in and out. I'm going to predict, well, not predict, but these are my ins and outs. Then I'll live react to the real team. So these are the changes I want this week. In for me, Hansen Jr., Bergman, Greenwood, and Simpkin. Hansen Jr., obviously from Western Australia. I'd love to see him debut. The VFL didn't play last week, so I don't really have many stats on these guys like I did before, but I'd love to see Hansen Jr. get his debut in front of his family over there in Western Australia. My gut tells me that will happen as well, so I'd like to see him in. Bergman should absolutely be back in. He's done his time in the VFL. He's too talented of a player to be playing or not playing through the weeks on the weekends for the ones. So Miller Bergman comes back in for me. Hugh Greenwood, this shouldn't even be a question. I don't have to explain to you guys why Hugh Greenwood is in there. Tackles, just a really good, experienced midfielder and can help lead that midfield along with a firing LDU. So he's no question for me. Will he be back in? Probably not, knowing our selection panel, but he should absolutely be back in. And Simpkin's the captain. I would assume he is back in this week. They're the four I'd like in. Now, the four I would like out. Number one, Liam Shields did his calf, I think. He's going to be out for a few weeks. Daniel Howe, I don't think Howe was that bad or anything, but look, these other players are better than him and they should definitely get a spot. Lockie Young, for me, pretty poor last week. Didn't follow his man and basically gave someone an open mark in the forward 50 for them to kick a goal to start the comeback for us on the weekend. I just don't think he's been great, and Bergman is someone I'd much rather see play than him. He's been okay, but, he wasn't good last week, and this is a game we need to win. Bergman gives me a lot more confidence that we're going to be able to do something. Now, the last in and out, I can't decide. And I know who the fans will pick, but I think differently. I can't decide between Jack Siebel and Cooper Harvey. Now, I love Cooper Harvey. He's played all right. I think last week was pretty poor. And it's similar to Blake Drury for me, where the first couple of games were decent and he showed us a bit and then sort of had a pretty poor game and maybe needs to go and, I don't know, get a bit of confidence after getting a taste. I think I would pick Siebel to go out if it was any other week but a game we can win. Now, I know people think Siebel's dropped off a lot. He has dropped off since his form at the start of the year. But I think we need that leadership and experience on the field in a game we can win. Over in the West as well, our backs are against the wall enough. So I think I would pick Jack Siebel to come in over Cooper Harvey. So maybe drop Cooper Harvey, but please understand what I'm saying. I think any other week I'd pick Cooper Harvey just for the future, but I think we need experience when it comes to winning games. I think our lack of experience hurt us against Hawthorn, and I don't want it to do it against West Coast. So just to recap, I'm going to go Hansen Jr., Bergman, Greenwood, and Simpkin are in. Young, Shields, Howe, and Harvey are out. I would love Cooper Harvey to come straight back in, but go back to the VFL, dominate, get straight back in, and hopefully stake a claim in this team, stake a spot in this team. You know what I'm trying to say. All right, let's react to the squad. I'm just going to get it up here. Okay, we haven't... oh, God. Sorry, guys, I just saw Kane Turner's name in there. That's... okay, we'll talk about that. All right. In is Simpkin, Greenwood, Turner, and Robert Hansen Jr., and out is Shields. So obviously an extended squad. Okay, Lockie Young still in. Howe still in. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Miller Bergman's done to deserve to get dropped this much. Bit rough for me. A bit rough, to be honest. Bergman is much better than Lockie Young. Kane Turner's on the bench, guys. The extended, if he makes the squad, I'm not going to be too happy. Other than that, no more changes. Look, we did play well last week, so people deserve their spot. The only person probably in the starting 18 is Lockie Young that I'd take out. On the bench, Zeeble, Howe, Greenwood, Archer, Turner, Goldstein, Harvey, and Hansen Jr. Yeah, I'd probably take out Harvey, Turner, Howe on that. Yeah, I think that's got to be the go. Anyway, Kane Turner. That's really the only thing to react to this week, guys. Kane Turner. Oh, Kane Turner and Daniel Howe are in the team once again. When was the last time this eclipse happened and they both passed over through this team at the same time? Yeah, okay. I don't know. What do I say about this? I feel weird. Why is Kane Turner in the team? Stop it. There's always something with the selection committee. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in these meetings. I'd love to know what Miller Bergman has done. Do you guys agree? Please message me. I know I'm slow to get back on messages sometimes, so I do apologise, but what do you guys think? Why is Miller Bergman not in? Why is Miller Bergman rotting away in the twos when other guys are getting a chance over him and they shouldn't? Am I wrong about this? Is Miller Bergman drop worthy? I think he's a great talent. He was so good at the start of the year, and because he's young, you need to get him to play himself back into form. I think he's been okay in the VFL. Anyway, let me know if I'm crazy about that. All right. We basically get into everything else in the next part with Big Ant. So I'm just going to drop that interview with Big Ant in now. There's some questions we asked the audience and the listeners as well, so make sure you listen to it all. There's going to be some inside jokes maybe you don't understand. We tried to explain all of them and give you some context. But he's a funny guy. He's a crazy West Coast fan, and we do have a bit of banter between us. So enjoy the interview, guys. We do all of the we do Under the Microscope. We do the weekly tips. We do all that sort of stuff in the next part. So all the regulars will be back. Actually, I've got a note here. One thing I wanted to talk about quickly before I drop that in. I can't believe I forgot this. Did anyone else watch the Q&A, the members Q&A with Todd Viney, Brady Rawlings, and Brett Ratton? I'm just going to give you a couple little dot points about what I thought about that. It went on for a while, but there's three main points to me that stood out. Number one, Brady Rawlings knows we need to draft tall. I love that they asked these sort of questions because we've all been concerned about the ranks in the tall department. And he basically said, we know we've drafted small, we know we've drafted midfielders, and getting some height in key positions is something that we are going to look to do in the off-season, if that's via draft or via free agency and trades. So that was really positive for me because that's been a massive hole. CCJ filled it for a little bit, but really wasn't playing very well. We need someone consistent up there with Larky. If Com can be that one day, that's awesome. We love Chom. But also we want competition. So defenders is more important than our forward line. They did talk about the defensive issues with Mackay possibly going and Griff, and that does seem to be their number one focus going into the off-season, which makes me feel a lot better that they've said it. The next point is apparently Callum Dawson isn't far away from playing. They asked him why he hasn't got a shot, and they said there's things they wanted him to work on. He's been a bit injury prone at the start of the year and his form dipped in and out, but apparently recently he's been pretty good and he's sort of been in that extended squad or just on the brink of it. So they said he's not too far away from playing. Do I think he'll play? No. Should he play? Yeah, he should absolutely get a chance, but I'd love to give him a go and see. But apparently he's not far away, so that was exciting. And the last thing is they need to cut the list from 46 to 42 in the off-season, which was very interesting. Obviously, this begs the question of old players. Everyone seems to want Zeeble out of this club, which I think is chaos. I'm not saying Zeeble should get a one-year deal and then play every game next year, but we also said this about Goldie and Shields and that sort of stuff, and they've been great. So Zeeble should be given a one-year deal. he should maybe start if he's had a good preseason, and then someone needs to push him out of the team. But his leadership around the club is a must. I know he's got that gig with the women over at the AFLW in the coaching role, and I'm happy for him for that. But I would love him to stick around for another year. But having to cut 4 players, you'd think like a Kane Turner, a Jack Marnie, a Phoenix Spicer maybe. I don't know if Jacob Edwards is on the senior list or not. Those sort of guys, like Lazaro's out of contract. I'd probably be rather keeping Zeeble, Goldie around than any of those guys, to be honest. But yeah, that's a lot to cut. That's a lot to cut on top of making space for all the draft picks we're going to get and hopefully free agents. So yeah, I thought that was very, very interesting. But look, they're my 3 main points. I have double-checked my notes here. That is all I've got for you guys. We're going to jump straight into the Big Ant interview now. Oh, West Coast week. I'm terrified, guys. But we're going to talk all about that now. So enjoy the interview, and I'll talk to you guys Monday or Tuesday. It should be Monday morning. I reckon I'll try and get the podcast out Monday morning to review the huge win over West Coast. Talk to you guys soon. Enjoy the interview. So this week we've got the biggest interview in Further North podcast history. We could get Wayne Carey on, we could get Glenn Archer on, we could get Dennis Pagan on, we could get Boomer Harvey on, and it still wouldn't be as big as this interview right here.
I'm actually disappointed that you put Boomer Harvey all the way at the bottom there.
Well, I saved the best till last sort of thing.
All right, good.
I mean, Wayne Carey, I'm a Glenn Archer guy, so I can't subside with Wayne Carey too much.
Look, as
he loves to fondle, you know what I mean?
Well, actually, let me finish your introduction first.
Oh, you thought there was more?
Oh, okay, sweet.
Everybody, this is Big Ant. If you've been a Further North podcast listener for a while, you would have heard his name. Big Anthony's in the studio. Welcome, Big Ant.
Thank you very much.
That's all right.
See, growing up in the 90s, following West Coast, being a massive Glenn Jakovich fan, I can't help but have zero love for Wayne Carey.
Yeah, I think a lot of North fans feel the same, to be honest with you. But hey, how times have changed.
Very much so.
Now they just do lines at Revs in the weekends instead of hook up with their teammates' wives. So
just get a signature in the residue.
Oh my God. Anyway, we've got the number 1 West Coast fan in Victoria here to preview the biggest game of the season. Prime time over in the West, 4:40 on a Sunday.
Mate, it doesn't get what better way to finish off your week or start your week? Finish off your weekend, start your week with the toughest battle at the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah, and they're the battles we want to see. We can watch Collingwood play pretty footy. We can watch Port Adelaide dance around people and be exciting. No one cares about that. All the people out there, all the boomers out there who want real footy back, this is what we're talking about.
I just want to see 40-plus dudes slog it out in next to nothing on a field, playing the worst football possible.
This is grassroots.
Yeah, it's grassroots football.
Grassroots football. And that's what so many people want these days. And you're going to get it. You're going to get it.
Absolutely, you're going to get it this Sunday.
Big Ant works at the barbershop with me.
Yes, I do.
How we know each other. And I've said a lot of times today, you probably heard me saying this today, a lot of people have come in and I've told them that North and West Coast is on this weekend, and they go, oh, that'll be a good game. And I say, no, it'll be a close game. It won't be a good game, because if some poor soul who's here to watch the Women's World Cup and they go, oh, I'm going to check out one of these AFL games, I've heard of Australian rules footy, and they go to that game, God help them. That is not a good representation of Australian rules football.
Oh, it'd be great to see an interstate team play in Melbourne, and then just cop that disappointment.
Yeah, there's a lot of disappointment around these two teams, and
that is a very polite way to put it.
Yeah, well, we've been saying we've been trauma bonding from our two teams' seasons.
Yes, we have.
I think it's brought us closer and further apart at the same time.
Oh, it's a love-hate relationship at the bottom of the table. It's
the amount of banter that's thrown around at the barbershop is great, but then we both look at each other and go, we're both awful.
Yeah.
You're one of the only people I can genuinely throw banter at, because you're the only team below us on the ladder.
Look, the welfare check messages that get thrown around as well.
Do you want to explain that?
So after the absolute slogging that we copped at the hands of Sydney, as a passionate fan, I watched the whole game.
I still can't believe you do that every week.
No matter like week in, week out, I love that team.
Yep.
It's what I've grown up with. I will watch every single game. Not even 15 minutes after the game finished, my phone goes off and Josh has just messaged me going, "Hey mate, just checking you're okay."
That's all I said to him. There was nothing else to the message. And I genuinely meant that.
I did appreciate it, and I probably did need it that day.
Yeah. That was look, Ant, we banter, but that's not fun. That's not cool.
No.
That's not okay. I was watching the game and I was genuinely excited to see Sydney get to 200 points.
A little bit of me was as well.
Yeah, I know it was.
Just bring back those good old absolute floggings that happened in the 90s.
Yeah, for sure. Tell everyone how you support West Coast, how you became a West Coast fan. Give them the backstory.
So I grew up in Perth. When I left, so I was born in 87 as the year that West Coast was created. So yeah, it's just always been my team. There's been no other option.
I guess when was Freo made? Like 95?
95. And I even had family play for that inaugural Fremantle team. But just having that link and that time with West Coast, even when my family jumped ship, I just couldn't.
Interesting. And like I said, the number one ticket holder for West Coast in Victoria, I would assume you are.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
There's been a lot of fun, passionate years, and then there's been a lot of other painful years.
Yep. Yeah, I completely understand. And that's where we are right now. And that's why this podcast is going to be the greatest combination of two teams talking to each other right now.
Look, if anything, just laugh at our pain.
That is true. And that's what we kind of have to do, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. One thing I will say is being in the positions that we are now, it will make us enjoy the better times even more. Yes, and that's what I have been hoping for. And I guess the difference is I haven't seen a North Premiership. I was a little bit too young for the 90s because I was born 95. So I didn't get to see that. And most of my life, North's been pretty good. But at least admirable and above. They've been solid and consistent. Yeah. Consistently average with a couple of spurts of, whoa, what did we do there? You know what I mean? But I haven't got to see the ultimate triumph. But until this point in my supporting career, I haven't got to see us hit rock bottom. And I haven't seen that full circle of life yet. I suppose one thing that I, as a West Coast fan, am holding out for is the one and only time that we've ever received the wooden spoon was 2010. Yeah. 4 years after winning a premiership, but then we came back in 2011 and we finished fourth. We then copped a flogging in the finals, didn't make the big game, but we're now 5 years after a grand final. We're about to cop the wooden spoon. So hopefully there are people smarter than me, hopefully, making the decisions on the rebuild. All right. Well, let's get into the game. Absolutely. So how are you feeling? I don't want predictions or anything just yet. How are you feeling on the inside about this game? To be 100% honest, I don't know. I'm the same, because you know what scares me? That North are the favourites. And that makes me feel so uncomfortable. Actually, you said something to me today. The sequel will be better than the original. Yeah, I did say that. There was a bit of tongue-in-cheek there. I know, but you just have to look back in history that when the sequel's better, it means the first one wasn't that great. I hope that what you said there is true. The sequel is better because the first one wasn't that great. Well, it was good for me. I mean, look, after 2 rounds, I was thinking we were going to go 23-0 or whatever we were going to. Actually, you know what? After the first 2 rounds, absolutely. The fact that in round 2 we came through and beat GWS. Yes. I thought, okay, you know what? Maybe there is something to North. That's why we lost round 1. Yeah. Since then, little did we know what was coming for us. Yes. I mean, this game we're battling for the longest losing streak in the league.
Oh no, we are, aren't we?
Yeah, because the last time both our clubs won was round 2.
That's depressing.
That is very depressing. Now, I loved the banter that I threw out after round 2 to you when I walked in and I said, Alistair Clarkson is basically the Premier of Western Australia right now because we beat West Coast and Fremantle. So we're going to reclaim our reign this weekend over Western Australia.
Do you guys play Fremantle again this year?
No, unfortunately not. I would love to. We play Melbourne the week after.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
For Sunday's game, it's one of those things where I hope the fans in Perth are still getting behind the team.
I think they will because I know a lot of North fans got out to the one for Hawthorn because we were like, oh, we could do something here and we got our pants pulled down. But we know what the Western Australians, especially you, know what those bunch of ferals are like.
Absolutely.
And they're going to turn up in numbers just to help their team beat us down.
All right. I very much dislike some of the old firm teams that exist in Melbourne.
Okay. Is North Melbourne one of those, Ant?
No, I've always had a bit of a soft spot for North.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the great competition that West Coast and North had through the 90s.
Okay.
But Collingwood is one of those teams.
Yeah, that's safe.
But I respect and like the fans because
the raw passion.
Exactly. They have a one-eyed passion for their team that is so much the same for West Coast.
Yeah.
So, again, I hope on Sunday that bias noise that the crowd brings can give us that lift is needed to get us over the line.
Do you genuinely think you can win this game? What does your head and your heart say?
My head is saying no. Mm-hmm. The heart is hopeful.
Yes.
That's probably the best way to put it, hopeful.
I don't feel too dissimilar. I guess the problem that I have is we are favourites. And everybody who's come into the shop and I've talked to about this game, they all say, yeah, North's going to win. Yeah, North will win it easy. And that makes me feel so uncomfortable. Because people are expecting us to win after a 15-game losing streak.
The problem is we've got two teams that both have similar injury lists.
Yes.
That have both had the same run of like demoralization through the year. That at the start of the year, it was actually a good game. And it ended up being fairly close by the end.
It was 5. I think it was 5 points we won by in the end. Yeah.
So we've got two teams that are both in a point of rebuild, but there's also that point of desperation as well.
Yeah, for this game especially, because I think a win for both teams would be massive. The way I sort of see it at the moment, and tell me if you agree with this, is if West Coast win, there'll be celebration. If West Coast lose, people will be like, well, they're bottom of the ladder. If North win, people will say, yeah, it's West Coast. And if we lose, we'll be the laughing stock of the entire league.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
I think there's more pressure on North Melbourne right now than there is West Coast to win this game.
One issue that I see with it is just the way like the list selection has been for you guys over the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
They're throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks.
All of the youth that we've put through and dropping some of the senior guys is sort of worrying to me. I said before the Hawks game when they announced the team, they dropped a lot of experience and put in some youth. And I said, to me, that suggests they're not looking to win this game because for Hawthorn and West Coast, they were the two games for the rest of the year I felt like we could win. But putting in a young, youthful team with less experience shows me that that's not the ambition. And I know youthfulness can sometimes uplift a team, and it's really nice if that happens. But even this week, I would rather side with a little bit more experience because I think development's one thing, but to me, development is pushed aside this week, and we just need to win.
Absolutely. It then becomes as a lot of listeners would know, West Coast team selection has been forced by injury.
Yeah.
At one point, we had a full starting 22 as an injury list.
Yes.
So we've had a lot of young players being forced into positions and to pick up and play a game much ahead of where they would have been already. That has unfortunately led to more injuries, but I feel an interesting developmental leap in what the young guys are doing. I feel like they're linking up a lot better. You can see a camaraderie start to begin with those younger players. And now I'm concerned of the gap between the senior guys, guys that were there in 2018 that won the premiership, and this younger team.
You don't have those like mid-20-year-old players who are...
Exactly.
Yeah.
I then become concerned, and especially for games like North, or actually any team, but games like North where we are a possibility of winning, the fact that you guys have a semi-cohesive squad.
Yes.
A squad that does play well together. It may not be the best football.
Not all the time, but I think last week against the Saints, we clicked as a squad.
Absolutely.
And we absolutely should have won that game. Of course, we got run over. I knew that was going to happen deep down, but we played as a team. But then you go back 1 week before, and it was the most disjointed performance I've ever seen against the Hawks.
The Saints have just become a second half specialist.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Yeah.
I honestly thought we were going to beat the Saints. And then when we came out at halftime, it's almost like the team said,
different team.
We need to lose this so we can keep the first draft pick.
What do you think? Let's go on to that quickly. What do you think about the first draft pick? What do you think about the Harley Reid situation? Apparently saying he didn't want to come, but then it wasn't true. And
I think especially West Coast being so far away from the rest of the country, you get guys like Harley Reid, who is Victorian, but he's country Victorian.
Yeah.
So he's already prepared to move no matter where he goes.
Yeah.
Personally, I do see the hype behind him.
Yep.
But we gave up the house for Tim Kelly. This is going to be our first real draft in a couple of years.
So what did you give up for Tim Kelly? Do you remember?
It was...
Even if it's not exact, was it just draft picks or did you...
Yeah, draft picks. It was a lot of draft picks over a few years.
What year did you sign him?
2019?
Sounds about right. It would have been before COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that was a couple of years after the premiership, trying to keep it going a little bit when obviously in hindsight, maybe it was a better time to blow it all up. But hindsight's a beautiful thing. We can say the same for my club as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Because we gave up so much for him in the way of picks, it hasn't allowed us to have much in the way of a rebuild. I see the hype behind Harley. He is going to be a fantastic young player, and I hope whoever does pick him up treats him the way that a young talent like that deserves to be treated. Honestly, though, I would prefer to see us trade that first draft pick for two top tens, one high, one low.
Yeah.
Possibly even a mid-20s player. Someone with a little bit of experience. Doesn't have to be a superstar, but someone just to fill out the roster.
Yeah, sort of like what we did with Griffin Logue.
Yeah.
Using a pick to get a player who's in their mid-20s, at least experienced and can contribute straight away instead of... I'm really not on board with putting in all guys who have played under 20 games and letting them grow together. I just don't think that works. And I think a lot of the North fans from who I've talked to seem to be really excited about going all youth. And it's better than putting in mid-tier players like Kane Turner, Daniel Howe, who aren't going to work out and they're never going to get better than they are. But you do need the Zeebles, the Shields, the Goldsteins with very, very young guys as well.
Well, it's like Ruben Gimby for us.
Yeah.
He, first-year player, played 17 games for the season, absolutely gave his all. Was the skill and that refinement there? Absolutely not. Was the heart and passion there? 100%.
Yeah.
He unfortunately then has injured his hamstring and he's out for the season.
Is he out?
He's out.
All right. Give me some of your big names who aren't playing, who are out, who we don't have to worry about, because I don't know the injury list.
So Tom Barras is out with his shoulder. Now he's on a day-by-day basis at the moment, so he could come back. He might not. We just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Cully.
I've heard the name.
Yep, another young player.
Okay.
Did his knee, out for the season.
Yep. Are these all guys you'd say would be in your best 22?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Jeremy McGovern.
Yes.
Has his concussion, day-by-day basis.
Did he get concussed last week or the week before?
Week before.
Ah, damn. Because if it was last week, he wouldn't be playing.
Nick Natanui.
Yes.
Did his Achilles, out for the season.
This is a discussion we had today that I haven't heard. I genuinely wasn't sure if Nick Nat was still on the roster, and that's not just bad. Like I don't remember anything of him since before COVID.
Unfortunately, so one thing the listeners may not know is the soil difference in WA.
Interesting. We're getting technical here.
It is an extremely hard ground. That's why a lot of Fremantle and West Coast players have that soft tissue injury through pre-season at the start of the season. So someone like Nick Nat, the size that he is and now the age that he is, it just wreaks havoc on the body.
Do you think he's coming back? Like, do you think it's worth him coming back?
No.
No, I don't.
I love that man.
Yeah, he was exciting. I remember he took a mark and kicked a goal at the end of a game to win West Coast the game. I can't remember what year this was. It was pre-COVID North West Coast, and he took a mark near the end of the game and kicked the goal, and he made us lose, and I've never forgiven him. He was very exciting, though. My favourite memory of Nick Nat was when him and Majak Dor had that ruck contest. What a moment that was.
Just two Goliaths in the centre.
Demons. The vertical leap on that would be ridiculous. Anyway, please go on.
So we have Liam Ryan as well. Did his hamstring. Out for the season.
Him. Yeah.
Luke Shuey, did his hamstring 2 to 3 weeks.
Yep.
Jake Waterman, son of the club legend Chris Waterman, played through the 90s. They have just listed it as illness and indefinite.
Yeah.
Which is kind of worrying because
we can't type that many weeks.
Yeah. But glandular fever is actually running rampant in Perth at the moment.
Glandular fever. I think that's what. Is that what Will Phillips had? Our young guy, Will Phillips? Was it?
Yeah.
I think he was out all last year with glandular fever. Yeah.
It just wreaks havoc on you. Like I had it when I was younger, and there was 6 months where I just couldn't do anything.
That's wild.
Now Connor West, again, young player, but gives his all. Done his knee 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. And then did his hip and is on a day-by-day basis.
Oh, there's a lot of the guys I know and I don't want to play are all day by day. That doesn't really I want to know. Anyway. Okay. Give me a prediction for the game. An honest prediction. You can bring your bias in it. This is where we are. But give me a prediction. What do you think is going to happen at prime time in the West?
I do believe it will be close.
Yep.
I do believe we're going to see within a plus-minus of 10.
Okay, within a couple of goals?
Yep. It's not going to be a pretty game of football.
No, but it's not.
It's going to be a game of football.
Yeah, they will play football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can guarantee you that.
Again, the head just doesn't know.
Go with your gut, Ann. Don't worry about your head and your heart. Tell me what your gut says.
Well, my gut's pessimistic. I honestly believe we're tanking at the moment, so it's going to be North.
Lock in a final prediction and give me points.
North by 9.
Okay. Oh, God, now I've got to try and predict this. I don't want to... Oh, God. I think... Because if we lose and I predict we're going to win, I'm going to blame myself.
The other issue is every game through the season this year that we've said that's going to be a good game has just been absolutely horrendous.
So this is going to be the best game of the year, you
Absolutely
reckon?
it is.
Fantastic. I hope it rains and it's just gross.
No, because West Coast plays so poorly in the rain.
So do we. We're awful. We're shocking. We can't handball when at Etihad or Marvel. We can't handball straight there, let alone in the elements.
But maybe the rain will help cool Goldstein down and he'll lose a bit of redness in his cheeks.
This is what I was going to ask you. This is the next thing I was going to ask. I want to hear okay, Further North podcast listeners, the slander that this man sitting next to me has thrown on the most underrated ruckman of a generation, Todd Goldstein, is unbelievable. Tell everyone your thoughts on Todd Goldstein.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let's take it back a step here. I have actually agreed with you in the past about underrated. Have I not?
Yes.
No, I've said underappreciated.
Okay.
He is a phenomenal ruckman back in his prime. And for his age, he still holds it together. After seeing what's the young kid that...
Tristan Jerry.
Yep.
Oh, God.
I've questioned many times why Goldstein is still in your list.
Then you watch them play together.
Then I watch Jerry come through and, oh my God, I get it now.
Yeah. Jerry makes Goldstein look like he's in his prime.
Oh, absolutely. It's looking like prime Max Gorn. Like,
look, all I get upset about is when you refuse to mention Todd Goldstein as one of the great ruckmen in the last decade.
I can't do it.
Why? Open your heart.
Because I had Nick Nanui.
Search your feelings, and you know it to be true.
Do not lay the Star Wars quotes on me. Like,
it's too soon. I'm your father.
Don't tempt
Sorry, Daddy.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
It does look like a casting couch in here. So we did have this debate, and it was brief, but the Nick Nat versus Goldstein debate, who is better, if you were going to say who's been better in their careers?
Has Goldstein ever weighed above 80 kilos?
Of course, he's the thickest boy in the world.
Are you honestly going to try to tell me that he was thicker than Nick Nat? That man, like...
weight-wise, I'd say, look, let me try and look it up right now. You fill and say something about Todd Goldstein.
You know what? I would say Goldstein to North
He's
is
101 kilos, mate.
Yeah, because he's 2 meters tall. Like,
well, Nick Nat's 2 meters tall.
Yeah, and he was weighing like 115. Like, you're going to tell me that Fijian bull isn't going to run through Goldstein?
Well, not because his legs don't work.
Yeah, all right.
Hard to run through him from the hospital ward, mate.
I'll cop that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He's 114 kilos. I wouldn't have thought Nick Nat was that big.
He's a big boy. Remember when
he's 33. Wow.
When was it? 2018? 2019? No, it must have been 28. No. Hold on. When did my sister get married? 2019.
Don't ask me. I don't know.
No, because he made his return after... So you know how 2018 he unfortunately was injured for the grand final, had to sit it out. I still remember sitting in a pub in Perth, over there for my sister's wedding, watching West Coast play Hawthorn at the G and having that image of Nick Nat, like strong man body, but still moving in a way that no bloke that big should.
I would say similar to Goldstein, though. Not the athleticism, obviously, but Goldstein at ground level for a man that looks like he has no place on a football field was exceptional. Like the amount of times that he's won the leading most hitouts in AFL history. I think that's a little bit underappreciated. I know hitouts don't always go to advantage, but the ruckman's first job is to get their hands on the ball. The amount of times that he was one of the highest clearance getters along with his own rucking was wild. And he just stepped up in massive moments. Now, I think there's a debate to be had about, I'd say Nick Nat, his peak was longer. His highs were higher. But I'd say his lows, injury-wise, have been lower. So, you know, we're never going to finish this debate, we know, but it's fun to have. And
we're always going to have our biases where But
I think there's a legitimate debate to be had here because I think Nick Nat has the premiership. He's got 2 All-Australians to Todd's 1 All-Australian. I'd say if Todd Goldstein played for any team but North, he'd have at least 2 or 3. But the longevity of Goldstein still doing it is wild.
And I feel there is something to be said for... So, for me, Goldstein is to North as Sicily is to Hawthorn. Like, the importance that man has in the club
I agree.
is astronomical.
I agree. I'd say the same for Zeeble as well. I think a few North fans have been a little bit harsh on Zeeble in recent weeks. Yes, he's not playing quite as well, but I don't want people to underestimate the importance of that man being on the field or at least the sub and around the team. And I think when your team's bad, people instantly go, oh, old players, get them all out. And it's like, you can't do that. You can't get it's like getting a bunch of apprentices only to build a house. That's not going to be built. That house is going to be fallen down in no time.
It'll be built, just not well.
Well, yeah. A slight gust and the whole thing's coming down. Look, we're not going to solve the Goldstein-Nick Nat debate, but I think it's a genuinely interesting one to have because I think there's arguments both sides that can counteract each other, and personal bias will always win, but Todd Goldstein will win that. Another debate is Oscar Allen and Nick Larkey.
Yes.
Now, a very famous bet in the further north world here, and some of the great listeners do write in every week and remind me how many Oscar Allen kicked compared to Nick Larkey.
Have you explained how stupid and off the cuff this bet was at the very beginning?
No, but I'd love you to explain it.
So, young Joshua...
You're talking to me like I'm 12.
You might as well be to me.
I own my own property.
And I'm a man. And I'm proud of you for it.
Thanks, Dad.
I'm proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself.
Oh, God. I've never been told that before. Maybe we should go down to North Melbourne and tell them that, and they'll play better.
So, it's... obviously, Josh and I work together in the barbershop.
Yeah.
And we are both 2 very passionate sporting personalities in there.
Correct.
We will not hesitate to yell our opinions back and forth.
Respectfully.
Respectfully,
sometimes.
of course, but it can get heated.
Yep.
And Josh, in the 3 years?
2 years.
2 years that, we've kept company together, has found ways to...
Get under your skin.
That's a very polite way to put it. So, of course, we, at the very start of the season, were talking about West Coast and what they're going to do for goals.
Yeah.
Josh only having, in his football life, focus on a Victorian team.
Yeah.
Didn't know about the great god that was rising in the West. That is Oscar Allen. He genuinely never heard of him, which,
I genuinely hadn't heard of him, though. But it was because of that season before that he was injured the whole year. I didn't hear about him. And then when you were saying Oscar Allen, I was like, I don't know who that is.
And, both of us being alumni of the Grey Whitfords Junior Football Club, having Kennedy left, that was my obvious answer. Well, Oscar Allen's going to, he's going to kick all our goals, which unfortunately pretty much has.
Yes.
Josh then turned around and said, who's Oscar Allen?
Rage, it's the disappointment and rage combo in your eyes was terrifying to me.
I could see the vein pulsating in my forehead. So when Josh then goes, well, is he as good as Nick Larkey?
The big Suve.
Oh, get off it. I have then, course, went, you know what? Whoever kicks more goals by the end of the season is the winner.
We're going to... Shouting lunch.
Shouting lunch.
Yeah.
It's a fun bet.
It's a fun bet.
Not high stakes, which I'm glad for.
It depends how hungry we are on the day.
We'll do it on a Saturday when we don't have time to eat.
Yeah, true. We'll Uber Eats it. Yeah, sounds good.
Just send the apprentice up.
Yes, great idea.
So, now, there has been an issue this season with so many defenders being injured for West Coast.
Yep.
Oscar Allen's first season and his Colts career, he was actually
a defender.
A defender.
Okay.
So, who does West Coast call upon and move when we are low on defenders?
Well, the ball rarely does go in your forward line. But to be fair, I think the ball, I'll be surprised if we both have such low forward 50 entries from our teams. Maybe the ball will just bounce between the 50-metre lines and it'll never get out of the midfield.
Oh, so we're predicting a 0-9 result.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Look, when I said very confidently back, Nick Larkey is going to kick so many more goals, the disdain I was met with was very offensive.
I think because Nick Larkey, and obviously with the bet, I have become more invested in him.
Yes.
I see
It's the same with me with Oscar Allen as well. Like, I know what he is now. I know he's this big, German-looking.
Well, I was going to say he looks like the stereotypical blonde-haired, blue-eyed surfer that Perth would be known for.
Yeah, well, his hair's probably not quite way. I'd say his hair's very Nazi-esque, but the rest of him is very surfer boy.
Between him, Bailey Williams, and Marek, like
he's starting a Reich.
It's kind of worrying over there.
Poland's shaking, mate. Poland is shaking.
It's it's definitely raising a few Hawthorne-esque questions.
Oh, no. Fantastic. Yeah, no wonder Adam Simpson wants out of there. He doesn't fit in.
Well, that's actually maybe a good segue.
Okay.
Our coaching situations.
Wow. Well, there's a lot to dive in for both, to be fair.
Okay.
Ask me a question.
As a club legend, Adam Simpson, how do you feel he's being treated? Now, obviously, we don't see as much or consume as much WA media.
No. I would assume he's getting slaughtered over there. Or do you think...
It's not pretty, but there is still a
community that backs him?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not pretty, but it's probably not as bad as I thought West Coast fans would be.
I guess it depends how much influence the coach has on list management. And I feel like that'd be different for every single club. I think I've got more sympathy for this being a North Melbourne fan because people still come in and tell me how bad of a signing Jared Polec was for us. And in hindsight, absolutely. But at the time when we signed him, I'm pretty sure he was an All-Australian within a couple of years of that signing.
Yeah.
So at the time, I don't think anyone had a real problem with it. But looking back, it was awful. Looking back at Adam Simpson's and his team's decisions, you go, well, they were all the wrong decisions. I also get it's a cutthroat industry, though, and that's what you've got to be judged on if you keep your job or not. I do think a change is needed in coach, but I wouldn't be firing him.
Yeah.
In the season. I'd say off-season, you see out the season, we need to change things up. Not because I think he's a bad coach. I think he's doing the best with what he's got, and he's shown he's a good coach because you won a premiership with him.
I mean, that Paul bloke's hair, like...
Mate, that guy has gone grey so quickly.
Oh, he's always had that grey, but it's almost clear now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just remember him bounding out of the middle, getting a clearance to kick it to Nathan Thompson, who kicked a goal at the end of the game to beat Collingwood in like 2004, and he gave him the double cobras. One of the most famous goal celebrations of all time. I don't know. I like Simo.
I mean, that's a good link between the two clubs as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I don't want... We've got Clarkson, and Clarkson's coming back, and that's a whole other
Is
thing.
he, though?
Well, he is coming back, Big Anthony. I don't need this right now.
And then I guess also for the Simpson debate, we both will acknowledge, and especially where North was and Essendon as well, we know how shallow the coaching pool is at the moment.
Absolutely. The fact, if North didn't get Clarkson, I would have gone into this season, obviously not knowing how bad it was going to be anyway, would have gone into the season going, we're not doing anything.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like Clarkson was the only guy we could possibly get that would make me excited for this season at the start of it. And the fact we pulled that off was a massive step in the right direction and showed me that we are going in the right direction. It's a lot slower than I wanted it to be, and it's a lot slower than what I thought it would be. I originally was like, if we can maybe not make finals, if we do, great, but push for finals by 2025, I would be happy. That's sort of been shattered and gone. I would honestly say if we can make finals by the end of Clarkson's deal, that will be a great achievement.
How long is this deal?
5 years. So 4 more years after this. In the next 4 years, with this list and the amount of turnover we still need, 4 more years into Wardlaw and Sheasel and that sort of stuff, they can be unbelievable players. Larkey will still only be 28, 29, something like that as well. These guys will still be in their primes. That's exciting to me. But this year has really shown me it's going to be longer than what I first thought. But I don't think we're going in a bad direction because we've got a president in Sonia Hood that everybody loves.
Yes.
Everyone loves Clarkson. Todd Viney is a stand-up guy who is not afraid to face the media.
Yeah.
And he will bat all the negativity away and defend us in a way that we haven't had before.
The back of house restructure for North was absolutely phenomenal.
Because they're all woeful in the years gone by. And the change this season in that department's been huge.
So now onto something a bit more lighthearted.
Okay.
Going on with our bet.
Yep.
Who would win in the fight? Oscar Allen or Nick Larkey?
Give me the parameters of the fight.
You know what? Hockey rules on the field.
Because I think Oscar Allen wins in a fight. He's got the size.
Really?
I think Oscar Allen's got the size, but I'd say Nick Larkey would have the composure. All I'm going off is Nick Larkey in front of goal, ice cold. He knows what he has to do. Oscar Allen would be has a physical advantage, but I'd say Larkey would have a finesse advantage.
You do know that they're like within a centimetre or two of each other.
I know, but
a couple of kilos.
I think Larkey's a bit thinner. But the one thing I will say is
I reckon a bit leaner.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to look at their weights. Larkey, when he came, was bone thin, and actually this year, Larkey, because another reason why I don't hold it against you for underestimating Larkey was Larkey's jump this season has been huge. Going from, what did he kick last year? 44, 42 goals or something like that?
Yep.
To easily going to be over 50 this year and leading that 40. He's third in the Coleman and we're an awful team is wild.
All right. I've got Oscar Allen's stats here.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find. Here we go. Nick Larkey. All right. Give you go.
So, Oscar Allen, 24 years of age.
Yep.
Same age.
Nick Larkey's 25 apparently. Okay.
Oh, you must have had a birthday. Happy birthday tonight.
Happy birthday, Nick. Hope you got a big souve for your birthday. Extra garlic sauce.
196 centimetres.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, this is what actually made the bet so much better.
Yeah.
And then 96 kilos.
Really?
Yeah. Like
so Nick Larkey's 198 centimetres and 96 kilos.
And when I when I saw these stats,
because he looks so much bigger.
Yeah, I saw these stats, and that's when it actually finally dawned on me that we actually have a good bet here.
Nick Larkey's dumb thick.
Yeah,
unbelievable. He's been packing it on.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Nick Larkey, Ant.
Oh,
I love him. And he signed a 5-year deal. I'm so happy. I love Nick Larkey.
Can you just imagine yourself sitting there running your hands through that mullet of his?
Well, I would say I love Nick Larkey's hair. Don't get me wrong. But I'm used to a Ben Brown style of hair. I love that mop flopping in the wind as he ran from the back 50 to do his run up. What a great time it was. Nick Larkey gives me a little bit of an inkling of that when his little mullet is flapping around. But the problem that Nick Larkey has with his mullet is Miller Bergman has Will Ashcroft style hair. It's like a mane. And that is Nick. If Nick Larkey ever listens to this, I love you, but this is banter. Nick Larkey, or what's his name? Miller Bergman, his mullet is what Nick Larkey wishes his was. Because I will say Nick Larkey's gets a little bit stringy when it gets sweaty.
Oh, the man sweats.
The man sweats.
The man.
Probably because he's got another 21 blokes on his shoulders when we're playing every single week. But
Nah, what are you talking about? He's riding on the shoulders. He's the one rising to the top.
Nick Larkey's never taken a hanger in his life. All right. So 48 goals to 41.
Yes.
In this bet so far. Nick Larkey's got 7 going into the last 5 rounds or whatever we've got left. How do you see the bet playing out?
I'm not willing to concede it just yet.
Yep.
But I do believe it's going to be Larky's.
I think it might be as well. But I honestly wasn't expecting Larkey to take this big of a leap or like a step this year.
Well, remember at the start of the season when I was doing that bit of back and forth, it was always within like 2 or 3 goals of each other, right?
Like Oscar Allen didn't kick any last week. Larkey got 3.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, it's probably just Nick Larkey's superior accuracy.
Absolutely. I was looking at it earlier today and
I saw it on the computer and he's kicked like 161 goals and only kicked like 64 points or something.
Yeah.
That's a wild conversion rate for a key forward.
So, but, for this season, Allen's kicked 41 goals and 14 behinds. Now,
only 14?
He has gotten better. It was a lot bigger.
Has he only kicked 14 behinds?
Now he has, yeah.
That's very good, though, for 41 goals.
Now, but remember, he didn't kick anything last week.
True.
Do you have Larky's player stats in front of you?
I don't. I don't even know where on the app I would find this stats.
Yep. Scroll down. Keep going. Keep going.
Here we go.
Keep going.
This is great podcasting.
And then here's what freeze for and freeze against. Oh, wow. Yours looks different to the West Coast.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're on the app. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
So,
what stat did you want to have a look at here?
Freeze for and freeze against.
Okay.
This is where I feel Oscar Allen comes into his own. This year, he's had 6 frees paid against him.
Yeah.
He's had 23 frees paid for him.
Is that just a strength thing?
I think it is. He's always willing to be in front of the ball or in front of the man to get the ball, and it works to his advantage.
The one thing that I think Nick Larkey is scoring goal accuracy percentage for Nick Larkey is going just over 70% conversion rate.
That's a lot lower than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I think with the amount of goals he's kicked though, like kicking nearly 50 goals and converting 70%. Let's see if I can find Oscar Allen's here. So 65% so it's not too dissimilar.
No.
The difference with Larkey, I would say, is Larkey's not a contested mark. Larkey's not strong in a contest. He's got better because he did muscle a couple of Saints players out last week, but he's more of a leading forward like Ben Brown used to be. And we don't have that big contested mark that could take a big clunk in the forward line. So they're very different players but have very similar stats. And every single week this bet's gone on, we've always gone, this bet's actually like really close.
Yeah.
And when you break it all down, I don't think a better bet has ever been made.
No, absolutely not. There should be a movie written about this.
like a Jaw on Air style thing.
Absolutely.
Who would play me? Chris Tucker, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you could be Jackie Chan.
I mean, you take away my swearing in the shop and my vocabulary is only about 50 words anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I
That's
could be
the Italian heritage.
Yeah, I could be that strong silent type in the movie.
Oh, God. A brooding character.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be good to watch at IMAX. All right. I'll back Nick Larkey in for this bet as well.
Yeah.
I will back Nick Larkey in for the bet. Really quickly, before we finish up, a player under the microscope for you this week. We do a segment here, Under the Microscope, suggested to by a lovely listener. This week, a player for North Melbourne that's under the microscope for me is Jaden Stevenson. Now, I think Jaden Stevenson's had a really good year. He's kicked 25-odd goals, which I think is pretty good for a small forward. I don't think he's close to being dropped because this guy's work rate is second to none. And anyone who doesn't think that need to go to the games and watch this man run up and down the field. But he has failed to impact on the scoreboard. So he needs to kick at least 2 or 3 goals this week. He needs to have a game. And this is the time to do it against a lesser opposition. So Jaden Stevenson is the one under the microscope for me. Anyone in particular for you?
For me, it'd have to be Chesser.
Okay.
Plays through the midfield.
Yep. What sort of a mid is he, just for our listeners that might not know?
He's the rover ground specialist. He likes to get into the contest. And
he's good at ground level and can feed it to...
I feel like, and especially with Kelly now having to step up the way that he has, that he gets a bit overlooked. But, and I suppose he's come to the forefront of my mind because West Coast has done a lot of press with him lately.
Yeah.
And I found it an interesting choice to use him, being a young fella.
Yeah.
And then not having...
Future leader, maybe.
Well, that's actually one thing that did come to mind. So I guess in the last... we're around 18 now? 19?
No, 20. Is it 20? No, it's 20 because Clarkson's back in round 21. That's next week. So it's round 20.
Mate, that's what the season's done to me. I'm
jaded too, don't worry.
The last few games, him in particular, I would love to see step up and especially with those other young guys, be that commanding voice and just control it a bit.
Who is a player for you on North Melbourne that you would be worried about as a West Coast fan for the game on the weekend?
I can't believe that this is going to leave my mouth, but Goldstein.
I love it. And it's in audio history forever.
And especially having Bailey Williams, and don't get it twisted, this is a great potential in this kid.
Yep.
But he's a kid.
Yeah.
He
did get the first game of the season, I think he played as well.
Yep.
And Hugh Greenwood and Charlie Comben shared ruck duties, a forward and a midfielder. And he got pretty comprehensively beat out of the middle. Obviously having a whole season, I'm sure he's improved a lot. But then going up against a Goldstein, yeah. Because our midfield fired last week.
Yeah.
LDU is someone I could see tearing the Eagles apart. If Goldstein can give him service, I don't know how the Eagles can stop a Luke Davies-Uniacke. But Goldstein is a good shout.
Yeah. One thing that I would love to see, and just the irony for what we are invested in for this game, is if Allen got moved to the back line again.
Allen plays on Nick Larkey. Oh, and he can stop him, but he can't kick any anyway. Yes.
Imagine the irony on that.
That would be wild. And then we just need a photo of those two in a one-on-one contest, and we can stick it in the barbershop.
Oh, on every mirror.
Yes. We'll get it on a T-shirt. We'll wear T-shirts. we got to get like a band tour shirt and just do the goals they kicked every week on the back. Oh, that's fantastic. We'll get it made.
You know what?
Yeah.
Maybe that can be the prize, as like on top.
I wouldn't be against that, actually.
Picture of the winning player.
Yeah.
The amount of goals for each round.
I think we need a photo of them in a contest. But maybe we can I'll get a listener to Photoshop it or something.
Yeah.
For the front of the shirt to signify that was the bet between those two players. Then on the back, the goal tally and the winner.
Yep.
I would wear that too. All right. Done.
Yep.
Done. Oh my God. The bet just got so much spicier.
Actually, even though I said I hadn't conceded, but it is Larky's.
Yeah.
Why did I?
Well, that'll look good on you in the barbershop, Ant.
Oh, no, it's purely your memento. It's like your trophy.
All I ask is that you wear that shirt one day on a Saturday in the barbershop. Come on.
Maybe.
Big Ant, I've invited you into my home.
Oh, that hero guilt.
Yes, absolutely. You don't want to let the listeners of the Further North podcast down, do you?
Honestly?
Go on.
No.
We're a vicious army. We may be small, but we know how to use it.
I do love and respect all fans of the sport.
Okay. The real winner here is the AFL for putting on a great spectacle. That's basically what you just said. All right. I think that's enough for the preview for the game and just bantering about the game. I'm going to tip North by 1 point.
I'm going to go North by 9.
All right. I hate that I tipped North Melbourne. It makes me feel yuck. But I want them to win. I don't mean I don't love my team, but I feel like I've put a curse on us now, and if they lose, I'll blame myself.
Look, I'm comfortable enough that our percentage is that horrible that we'll still get the first draft pick even coming up with the second win.
Very true. All right, let's predict some games for the round.
Yeah.
So we've got Collingwood and Carlton Friday night at the MCG.
I mean, you got to give it to Collingwood just being the G specialists.
Absolutely. They know the G spot. So, oh God, he's gone. He's gone, ladies and gentlemen. So Carlton have been in good form. Would you like to see Carlton get absolutely smashed?
Well, I think there's even an argument that...
Just to calm them down a bit.
Well, not even that. I think there's an argument that given the injury lists and the age of the players in our squads, that we are more successful than what Carlton is with...
Oh, this is what you said before, yes.
With, the laundry list of accolades plus Sam Walsh.
So what you're saying is over the last 5 seasons, where West Coast and North Melbourne are both more successful expectation-wise than the Blues.
Yes.
That is a massive call.
But look at you've got Brownlow medalists, you've got Coleman medalists, and Sam Walsh.
Yep.
I do.
Adam Chera.
Yeah.
Adam Chera.
For a team that stacked, they should
Sard's in the team. You got the defenders.
They should be leaps and bounds over where they are.
Very true. And that's what's going to make us sleep tonight.
Absolutely.
So, the Cats and your favourite team, the Fremantle Dockers.
WA just can't play Geelong. It's got to go to the Cats.
It's absolutely got to go to the Cats. And do you want to tell everyone about the reversible West Coast jersey I told you about earlier in the year?
So when it was evident that West Coast was down the toilet.
Yeah. This is like the first month of football.
Yeah. We were probably, 3, 4, 5 games in?
Yeah, something like that.
I made a joke that I should just get a half and half West Coast Freo jersey. And then Josh told me, nah, just get a reversible one so you can just disappear.
Turn it inside out. I did say I think West Coast memberships this year come with a reversible Fremantle jersey.
Yeah. See what? You know what? It's not even that you know how to get under my skin. You just you hear what I have to cop at work.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Fremantle. I'm still thinking about the Dockers, the Western Bulldogs and GWS Giants at Ballarat.
Yeah, it's GWS can be a bit of a shock.
Yeah, they can. I think they've won. Did they win? Did they win on the weekend or did they lose? They won. I think they've won 6 in a row.
And how cold is it going to be in Ballarat this weekend?
Probably cold. It's Ballarat.
GWS having to play out in Canberra, that famous snow game.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Are they built for this? Are they going to... I mean, Bulldogs are the favourite, but...
I was leaning towards the Giants.
Yeah.
I was absolutely leaning towards the Giants. I think the Dogs... I know they destroyed the Bombers last week, but there's something about the Dogs that I just don't trust. And I trust it more than I do the Saints or the Bombers.
It's Tim English, isn't it?
I don't hate Tim English.
I hate him.
I don't hate Tim English.
But he's a Perth boy.
Yeah.
He's a private school Perth boy.
He'd fit in with your Reich that you've got going on over there.
Yeah, but then we got to replace Williams.
Oh, damn. I'm going to say the Giants.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Giants.
Oh, the Q clash. Oh, the Q clash. The biggest game in football. Do you reckon it's surpassed the Western Derby?
Absolutely not. Did you see the banter that was happening between these two teams?
No.
So
there's banter from Suns fans?
No.
There's Suns fans?
Well, allegedly.
Allegedly.
So Brisbane putting out a tweet to Gold Coast saying,
really?
Want to start fake beef on Twitter to hype up Q Clash. The Suns have replied fake. And then Lions replied, we hear you sleep with the lights on. For the Suns to clap back going, worry about your own lights with the darkened
awesome. With
Gabba.
The lights went out against the D's. That's awesome.
So, but to add to that, the comments, the Brisbane Lions, so that was shared by the AFL.
Yeah.
The Brisbane Lions commented on it going, seeking a new social media specialist if anyone's interested. Ours hasn't rocked up to work today. Then GWS jumping in as well. Not bad chat for an expansion club.
That's awesome. I've not heard about that at all.
Mate, it's going... I keep telling you, Twitter's the wild, wild west still.
Twitter's like Facebook in 2008. Just untapped. You can say whatever. No one's monitoring you.
Nah, 2009 Twitter just went wild.
Wow.
The Lions.
Yeah, it's got to be the Lions. It is at the Suns' home, but it's got to be the Lions. Bombers, Swans at Marvel. I think the Bombers need to bounce back here.
Yeah. Is this... okay, Sydney at Marvel, not horrible.
I reckon this will be a good game.
Yeah, I would like to see the Essendon bounce back, and especially for what Sydney did to West Coast, I'd love this to be it.
I'm going to tip the Bombers too.
Yep.
I'm going to tip the Bombers. Here's an interesting one. Adelaide versus Port Adelaide.
I mean, they're from the city that claims to be like non-convicts, but they still want to put prison bars on a jersey.
Do you reckon they wear the prison bar jersey against Collingwood in the grand final if they make it? They just wear different colour shorts.
I'd be disappointed if they didn't. Like
Koshi and Eddie going at it, it would be fantastic.
Actually, that could be the pre-game entertainment.
Oh, fantastic. Still better than Meatloaf.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to tip the Adelaide Crows.
No, I'm going to go with Port.
The Adelaide is the team in that city. And it's like when Fremantle got over West Coast and they're like, that's cute, but.
I think the problem is that both of them, like, they're Adelaide specialists.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just going to come down to who is more prepared as a team, and I think that's Port.
I don't disagree. I just sense something wrong in the force. You know what I mean? There's something up. And I just think my gut's telling me Crows. I can't dive in more than that.
Yeah, I don't think I could go in more for Port.
I'm going to tip Crows, you tip Port.
Done.
Hawks and St Kilda. This is going to be a...
Look, we thought the West Coast North game was going to be uneventful.
It's crazy the Saints are sixth, isn't it? They feel like they're near the bottom four.
I mean... But how can a team come that close to losing to the two bottom teams and then scrape by? Like,
I don't know.
And then, but
the Hawks last week losing to Richmond by a point, a game they absolutely should have won.
And then absolutely decimating West Coast down in Tassie.
Yes.
That was the embarrassing
disgusting.
one.
Yeah, that was not good. I'm tipping the Hawks.
I'm going the Saints.
Going the Saints?
Yeah.
Watching the Saints last week against North, I just can't tip them after knowing how bad we are and knowing what the Hawks did to us.
Again, it's that second half specialist.
I know, but the Hawks are better.
You run the young guys in the Hawks down and then you take advantage of it in the second half.
I don't think they've got the bottle to do it. Not against the Hawks, not against a tougher opponent. Against West Coast and North, maybe. But the Hawks have more scrap and fight about them than we do. I'm not saying it's going to be a bloodbath, but I think the Hawks get over the line. I reckon the Saints make a late run, but they don't quite get there.
No, I reckon they get there.
All right. Richmond, Melbourne. Imagine these games were better back in like 2007 when these two clubs were just disgusting.
Okay. My wife's team is Melbourne.
Okay.
So with the thought of jumping ship from I can't say that. Please guys, don't come for me for talking about jumping ship.
Oh God.
But growing up, the same family member that played for Fremantle then went on to play for Melbourne.
Okay.
So that's always been my second team. The heart and the mind are with Melbourne on this.
I think Melbourne as well. I could see the Tigers getting up, but I do think the D's need to make sure they need a win like this for momentum going into the postseason.
Actually,
I really think that.
I just want to have a look at something.
What are we
Speaking of the Tigers,
yep.
If I'm still blocked on Jack Riewoldt Twitter.
Why are you blocked on Jack Riewoldt's Twitter?
Because do you know the Fox Footy ad where someone puts the bobblehead of him on his... I put out a tweet saying only he would look that disappointed playing with himself.
And he blocked you?
He blocked me.
Wow.
Well, I assume his media...
His marketing team.
Yeah.
Well, look, and we've already predicted West Coast and North, so they're the tips in for the week.
That's it. We're
ready to go?
we're working together on Monday, aren't we?
Yes.
So we'll be able to have a debrief of the weekend.
Yes. Yeah. We could burn the shop to the ground.
Please don't.
I can't promise anything. You know what I'm like, Big Ant.
We'll focus on the other lot of games. We'll go by game.
All right.
And then we'll work our way through it, leading up to either the triumph or the misery.
Yes. One of us is going to be happy and one of us is going to be sad.
I don't think either one of us would be surprised, though.
No. It's up to us to take jabs at the other, but comfort at the same time. It needs to be a safe space.
We'll walk from the cars, arm around each other's shoulder, giving that comfort. But once we cross the threshold...
White line fever, you reckon?
Absolutely.
That's awesome. All right, last thing we're going to do before we sign off. You need to make sure you give a shout out to someone special who's listening to this podcast, if she's listened all the way through.
She hasn't. You know she hasn't.
When our boss, Eb, at work, found out that we were doing a podcast together.
The sole person that is responsible for Josh and I coming together.
Us together, yeah. She created this monster.
She has. It's only her to blame, really.
Yeah, I blame her completely. But if we don't say anything, she'll be upset. But I don't reckon she's going to listen this far. And then she'll come in and say, why didn't you guys talk about me on the podcast? And then we can say, clearly you didn't listen all the way. Are we power moving our own boss?
I think we are. I think we have to, considering that she also gave us a request when she found out I was coming on the potty today.
Yep. What was that request, Big Ant?
She wanted me to sing on the podcast.
Sing the first line of the West Coast Eagles theme song.
The old or the new?
The new.
No.
The old.
We're the Eagles.
Yes.
The West Coast Eagles.
Haven't heard this for a while.
And we're here
sometimes
to show you why.
Why what?
We're the big birds.
Oh, God.
Kings of the big game. We're the Eagles. We're flying high.
And that is the only time you'll hear that for the rest of the season, because North Melbourne will be getting up on the weekend.
Thank you for setting me up for that failure.
No worries at all. Eb, if you're listening, we love you very much. Thank you for being a good boss, and I hope you've listened this far. Then we know you're a true fan of our work. And that's a perfect segue to end, I think.
Her husband's a North fan, so she should be listening anyway.
He is too. Griffin, come to a North Melbourne game with me. Come on the podcast. What are you doing, mate? Eb, if you're listening to this, tell Griffin to also listen to this and say I'm disappointed. Griff, please come on the podcast, and we're going to a North Melbourne game together. And you can come too.
Oh, thanks.
That's fine, mate. No worries. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me here.
If the listeners love Big Ant, we can try and scramble him back on to do a post-season rundown, and you can tell me all of the unbiased opinions on North Melbourne's season.
Look, if the listeners are happy to have me back, I am very willing to come back and give my expert and 100% logical knowledge. And
it would be good to have
an
opinion of a North fan versus non-North fan of North season to see where it lines up.
Can we just do a party podcast of end of year wind up?
Yes.
We'll do a gentleman's day. We'll just have like scotch over a certain value and we'll just sip here and...
That does sound like a bad idea. We might need it after the awful seasons. Yeah. I'm going to need a lot of scotch after we find that we didn't get a priority pick as well.
Oof.
Anyway, that's another podcast. We can talk about that after. I will see you on... Well, I'm going to see you later. See you on Monday after the game.
Yes.
Debrief. We'll still be friends. I'm terrified. I'm genuinely terrified for this game.
I don't care anymore.
That's a perfect way to end. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. If you did listen this far, you're a true fan. So let us know if you liked Big Ant on the podcast and we'll get him back. Thank you for listening. Go North. Dear God, I'm nervous.
Thank you for having me. Go Oscar Allen.
Oh, damn. All right. See you guys.
Bye.